My 70's Confessional, where Miguel Myers ATX and myself, Anthony Jerome Mem, discuss one iconic horror movie for every year of the 1970s. Miguel loves the 70s, and I don't. On this journey through this unique decade, we'll find out, do you really think the 70s are that great, or are you normal?
So this is the fourth episode of My 70's Confessional. We're here to showcase some of the finest horror movies that the 70s have to offer and see if we can't help Anthony get an appreciation for 70s horror movies specifically and the 70s in general. So Anthony, before we get into it, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to check your temperature here. So this is the fourth movie we've seen. The last movie we saw was Blackula,
Mm-hmm.
1972. We both dug it. You were into it,
Yeah.
right? Now we've seen Torso, and we're gonna get into Torso, but I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see, check your temperature, how you're feeling about the 70s so far.
I wonder. I wonder if I want to keep this opinion to myself until the end
Okay.
because I saw a corner and I may have turned it. So
Holy
I'm just,
shit. Okay. All
yeah.
right. I'm very excited to talk Torso with you. But first, Anthony.
What we're going to do right here is go back, way back into time.
The year is 1973. The top 10 singles of the year, starting from number 10 and going forward. Touch Me in the Morning by Diana Ross. You're So Vain by Carly Simon.
Okay.
Very prescient into what we were talking about earlier about people being vain. Will It Go Round in Circles by Billy Preston. Crocodile Rock by Elton John. Why Me, Chris Christopherson. And starting the top 5 is My Love by Paul McCartney and Wings. Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye.
Very nice.
Killing Me Softly with His Song by Roberta Flack. Bad Leroy Brown by Jim Croce. I think it's Jim Croce. And then at number 1, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Whole Oak Tree by Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Yeah, that one. Tie a whole ribbon around the oak tree while you're running down the woods across the river. Yeah, that one. I love that song. Everybody
That's so
does.
funny because that title of a song is similar to Giallo movie titles, except which is typically what you see in Giallo films, except for this one, right? Torso's like the shortest Giallo title you're ever going to see.
I was gonna say, is this movie actually called Torso? Because I know in the beginning it's like something presents the corpse of this. I'm like,
Yeah, just like all these like 70s Giallo movies, they have multiple names, and the
mm,
Italian name is different from the American or the English name. I don't speak Italian, so I cannot pronounce. I
right,
would
yeah.
absolutely murder it. So, and then the top 10 movies of 1973, starting from the number 10, Serpico, Paper Moon, Robin Hood, Live and Let Die, Magnum Force, The Way We Were, Papillion, American Graffiti, The Sting, and coming in a technicality because it was released on December 26, 1973, is The Exorcist.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
the only one I heard of.
yeah, complete technicality. So today we're talking about Torso, which is a Giallo movie, right? So what is Giallo? So we went over Giallo in the Profondo Rosso or Deep Red episode of season 1 with Gerardo Preciado, who makes music under the name Ancient Order of the Droids. So definitely check him out. He does great fake horror movie soundtracks. Music is real, the movies are fake.
Which
Anyway,
I
so I'm
love
not
that
gonna.
concept.
Yeah, it's great. I absolutely love it. And he's so prolific. He drops music like every couple of months. He's dropping a new soundtrack. So I'm not going to go into too great of detail here. If you really are into Giallo after this, I suggest going to check out that episode because it's a great episode. Gerardo Preciado is a great guest, and Deep Red is one of the best movies out there. So
it was homework for the Black Christmas episode, so I watched it. I liked it.
Yeah, and was it your first Giallo movie?
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're just going to go a little bit into it here. So Giallo is the Italian term designating mystery fiction and thrillers. The word Giallo is Italian for yellow. The term derives from a series of cheap paperback mystery and crime thriller novels with yellow covers that were popular in Italy. In the context of 20th century literature and film, especially among English speakers and non-Italians in general, giallo refers specifically to a particular Italian thriller horror genre that has mystery or detective elements and often contains slasher, crime fiction, psychological thriller, psychological horror, sexploitation, and less frequently supernatural horror elements. This particular style of Italian produced murder, mystery, horror, thriller film usually blends the atmosphere and suspense of thriller fiction with elements of horror fiction, such as slasher violence and eroticism, similar to the French fantastique genre, and often involves a mysterious killer whose identity is not revealed until the final act of the film. The genre developed in mid to late 60s, peaked in popularity during the 70s, and subsequently declined in commercial mainstream filmmaking over the next few decades, though less prominent examples continued to be produced. I'm thinking specifically of Knife Plus Heart, which is a French giallo which came out within the last couple of years, and it's absolutely fucking amazing.
Oh, okay.
It has been considered a predecessor to and significant influence on the later American slasher genre. So, the most famous and arguably the best directors of the subgenre are Dario Argento, who made The Bird with the Crystal Plumage in 1970 and Suspiria in 1977, although some argue Suspiria isn't giallo, it's supernatural, but that's for another time. And then he also made Tenebrae in 1982. Then we also have Mario Bava, who did The Girl Who Knew Too Much, which is considered, if I'm remembering correctly, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but is considered to be the first giallo. And then Blood and Black Lace, which came out in 1964. And then the third, if we're to have a Mount Rushmore of giallo directors, and we have Dario Argento, and we have Mario Bava, then we have to have Sergio Martino. Sergio Martino directed this movie.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say a little bit about giallo films and Sergio Martino. And this is, I'm actually quoting from an article written by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, who was writing on Arrow Films website. The giallo films of Sergio Martino are frenzied webs of gaslighting and sexual promiscuity, all stained a glittering blood red that flows from a seemingly endless parade of perversely satisfying murder vignettes. An essential filmmaker who brought a unique, dazzling dimension to giallo cinema, Martino's films are broadly considered up there with the best that the category had to offer, and for good reason. Beginning with The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward in 1971, he would make a number of giallo movies so iconic as to position him comfortably in the pantheon of the genre's greatest directors, including Dario Argento, Umberto Lenzi, Mario Bava, Lucio Fulci. The movies he's made includes The Case of the Scorpion's Tail from 71, All the Colors of the Dark from 72, Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key from 72 as well, and Torso from 73. So let's talk about Torso.
Hell yeah.
So written and directed by Sergio Martino and also written by Ernesto Gastaldi, who wrote Cheers to Cyanide, and Louis E. Cianelli, who also wrote OK Nero. So we open with a threesome. That's how we open.
Right.
Off the bat, you already know this is like some softcore shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And immediately I was like, okay, who's this woman? Beautiful dress. I love what's happening. Oh, it's getting taken off of her. And listen, I don't get it, but it looked great.
Yeah. A beautiful woman is removing or has her sheer top removed. And then over the opening credits, there's a man with two women, all of them nude, and they're on a bed fooling around while a camera is taking pictures. Who's taking these pictures? We never really find out. Maybe it's on auto.
Mm-hmm.
It's like automatically taking pictures. Maybe he has one of those things in his hands that we don't see, and it's just automatically taking pictures, whatever. And these photos also never come into play. So already we're being gaslit. There's a lot of throughout this movie. It's like it should just be called red herring the movie, right? Because that's all it is. It's just red herring.
Absolutely. Whiplash.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, which I loved. What I think it does remarkably well here, where later slashers, like even like the most current Scream, 5 Cream.
Mm-hmm. 5 Cream, yeah.
Shout out to you for that, by the way.
Everybody, I love anybody who says 5 Cream because
they tried to do it and they were less successful at doing the kind of whodunit sort of mystery, that's here. So there's also a creepy looking doll in the bed with him, to which the man pokes its eyes inwards into its skull, which is very off-putting. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Deep Red, Profondo Rosso had a doll as well. So there's something with
You're right.
dolls and sex that's going on. And are Italian men okay? I'm not sure.
Right. The Italians are trying to tell us, beware of dolls. Beware
Yeah,
of like.
we should be listening. So then after the credits, we're in a large lecture hall. The walls are beautifully decorated in paintings. You are instantly know you're not in America, because nowhere in America would you find any room as beautiful as this one-off, like this random lecture hall, right?
One thing I do want to say is I can only imagine who saw the first part of that movie, the threesome, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to watch this. For me, it's this scene that made me like, yep, I'm buckled in. This is a beautiful area. Like, you're talking about art. The walls are beautiful. And we'll talk about the crowd in a minute. But like, for me, I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I want to be here.
Love it. Immediately, yes. Immediately, yes. And I noted it here too. So if my college looked like this, I might have stayed. If my college demographics were like this demographic, I might have stayed. So the camera pans across the crowded room, and we see that the room is filled with all different types of people. Black, white, Asians, Indians. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the movie. How other races are shown and even featured prominently, and it's never made a thing, except in one instance. There's a comment made, and we'll get to that. Right?
Yeah.
So then Professor Franz, played by John Richardson, is giving a lecture on art history. Jane, played by Susie Kendall, who is an American exchange student attending college in Rome, speaks with the professor after class. They actually gather a crowd around them as everyone wants to see the professor in his dope ass suit, right?
See, that's the thing. Everybody, like you said, if my college looked like this, I would probably stay. If I was in a room of people dressed like that, I would do whatever I could to try to stay. Like, everybody had style there. I was very impressed.
Right. I mean, we could talk about it now. We could talk about it throughout the movie, but the style was just impeccable. Everybody could dress. I mean, we get to a certain part where they go out to the country, and then you expect people to look the way that they're looking,
right?
And that's fine. But like these college kids, like nobody's wearing baggy sweaters and like
right.
What are those rubber clogs called? Like fucking
like Birkenstocks?
No, yeah, not Birkenstocks.
No.
Whatever, the joke passed. I messed it up. But anyway, everybody's dressing. Yeah, I'm hurt. It's killing me. But everybody's dressing, right? So I love that. So then a student by the name of Stefano, who's played by Roberto Biasco, offers Jane's friend Danny, played by Tina Almont, a ride home. But Danny turns him down. Danny later tells Jane that he has been after her for years. Literally, I think she says 10 years.
10, yeah.
And that he doesn't take no for an answer. He's chosen the same major as her and even attending summer school to be near her as well. So already we're thinking, all right, we need to keep an eye on Stefano, right?
Right. And I do have a note about that for me. Like, this is that 70s boys will be boys bullshit. Like, oh, he just really likes you. That's called stalking. No. That's the biggest red flag. Like,
and that's it. And I bring it up later, is like Jane is the biggest culprit of that. Jane's like, nah, you're making things up, or you're not seeing what you're seeing, or literally she says later, like, why do you have a problem with him? It's like, bitch, it's because he's been stalking her for 10 years.
For
Leave
a
her
decade.
alone. She knows what she's doing. You don't have to make her feel bad about it. So, but of course, the character of Jane was written by a man, right? And so we have,
that's a male agenda at play.
Yeah,
like,
a woman saying she has a problem with it, and then a male written character saying, "Nah, you're just feeling whatever."
Silly little girl, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, she might as well just said that. Like,
right. So then the camera stays on Stefano, and we see he is wearing a red and black scarf. This is confusing, but it's an important part of the story, and we'll get to that part. So he looks very angry at being turned down again. He follows after Danny, and we open up into a beautiful courtyard filled with columns and archways and old buildings, like stone buildings and churches. And once again, the courtyard is filled with those students and passersby,
Mm-hmm.
and we see all types of students: black, white, Indian, Asian. It's lovely.
Absolutely.
And then Stefano watches as Danny and friends say hi to one of their friends, Flo, and then he seems to follow her. So first, I wanted to get your reaction to everything that we're seeing here, just as far as the ambiance and the
Mm-hmm.
sets are concerned. What are you thinking?
Honestly, I just felt like a cat in heat. Like I loved everything. I wanted to be everyone and everything. It was such a great setting, and it's quite clear to me, or maybe I'm reaching, but like it's clear Hostel 2 took inspiration either from this movie or other Jalo films, because this scene right here, I feel like I've seen it emulated, and to see the source of that, it was just, oh, it was so, like, what's the word, invigorating. Like, I love to see it. Once again, you have all this style, all this class culture in one area, and I don't know, I just loved it. I loved everything I saw. It was a treat.
Yeah, it's great. And I think you're right. Eli
Hmm.
Roth has said that he took inspiration from this particular movie for his movie. So yeah,
I believe
I
it.
think you're right on there. And I know, like, of course, if there's a great movie from the 70's or 80's, then old Quentin Tarantino is going to be there to take from it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's taking from
Yes.
this as well.
You're absolutely right. I knew it. I knew
Sorry, T.
it. Listen, fuck that foot guy. He's a weirdo.
Yeah,
Nice art, weird guy, and you know
there you
it.
go. We could like his movies and not like the guy, right? Although I don't really think his movies are like. There's never going to be a my Quentin Tarantino confessional.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine.
Oh, wait. Unless you're going to do it.
No. No.
Damn.
Listen, I like Kill Bill, but no.
Damn, I thought I had a couple more episodes out of you. All right. So later, Flo, played by Patricia Adiutori, sorry for pronouncing that incorrectly if I did, she's another one of Jane's friends, and she's with a man named Sean, necking in a parked car at an underpass. This whole movie is horny with a capital H.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I was a little hot under the collar. I'm like, these teens are really going at it. Like,
Yeah, like she had I mean, she was stunning. She looks absolutely
yes.
stunning. Low cut, like purple blouse, which I don't know, magenta blouse, whatever you'd call it. Hey, I don't remember what he was wearing, which goes to show what I was paying attention to.
Right.
But
They had
she was
clothes
looking
on?
great.
No.
Yeah, she was looking great though.
Honestly, you're always going to get me. You will always get me with two young people making out at a weird area, like Makeout Point, Lover's Lane, whatever. Like, I'm immediately sold.
Well, I was getting ready to see that guy from Blackula show up with his hook, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because he was up to something. And,
He was.
terrorizing teens at Lover's Lane was probably one of those things.
He deserved what he got. That's all.
Yeah.
So we're on a close up of Sean kissing her naked torso, and then they eventually have sex. The audience then sees someone outside the car watching the lovemaking, and then we get a very quick shot of a man in a gray ski mask looking in. Automatically, I love it. I love the whole look. It's just a ski mask, but it looks dope as fuck.
Absolutely. And later we get a close up on his shoes, and those are
Okay, all right,
great.
and like it's not a ski mask that he bought. It looks like he made the ski mask, which makes it even worse. Like he made it out of a stocking or something. I don't like it. I don't like it.
It looked to me like a very, what's the word, like torn and tattered doll face. Like, when he puts the eyes in when whoever put the eyes into the doll, that's the kind of vibe that I got. Like, it was creepy, and I loved it as well.
Yeah, I dug it. So then afterwards, post-coital, Sean sees the man watching them and runs out of the car after him. Flo yells at him, like, not to chase the man, saying, "What does it matter to him if he saw?" Which, honestly, true, right? Like, what? Obviously, you don't want somebody seeing you, but they already saw you. So
right, you're done.
You're literally done. So
I love the attitude too. Just like, hey, he got his nut. So did we. Let's go.
Yeah. Next time, invest in some tinted windows, maybe.
Right. You
Yeah.
know what? They're doing all they can too. They went to a secluded area. It's nighttime. They're not trying to be peeped on. But also, if the deed is done, just go get a
Yeah,
slice of pizza or something.
because you're worrying the woman that you're with, right? Like she's
Mm-hmm.
now freaked out because you have run away, and now you have left her alone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
what the killer wanted, which is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, Flo gets out of the car all alone in this isolated area and calls out for Sean. The only thing returning is her echo.
Mm.
Eventually, she turns on the headlights, and I was prepared for the killer reveal here, but there's nothing. Flo steps forward to see if she can see anything when we see a black gloved hand reach into the car and the headlights are turned off. I was not expecting that at all, and
Mm-hmm.
seriously, that gave me the creeps.
Yeah, I loved it. I either thought she was going to be killed in the headlights and we just got like a front row kind of seat to it, but to see the killer turn the lights off, it just added an element of creepiness that I was like, damn, this killer is trying to be a weirdo. It I don't know. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a bit of cat and mouse, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with the giallo genre, black gloves is a huge thing with the killer, right? Where you always see
Mm-hmm.
black gloves, you know that that's the killer, right?
I want some gloves.
Right? Like it's a way to throw you off the scent if you see somebody else wearing black gloves. You're like, oh shit, is he
Mm-hmm.
the killer? Are they the killer?
Mm-hmm.
But no.
And you know what? I'll say like if the killer had been wearing gloves in Black Christmas, I would have never thought it was Peter. Just because the
Mm,
gloves throw you off the trail and it's like it could be anybody. I don't know whose hands we're looking at.
right.
So I don't these gloves for me, they do add a full element of mystery because gloves are on, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, and then these particular gloves, there's a cutout, so you can see the color of the skin,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times you can't see the color of the skin, so it could literally be anybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Those are sexy ass gloves. They got the little like they show your palm, not the palm, but your opposite of a palm a little bit, and they kind of like Velcro on there. Those little driving gloves, so sexy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It awakened something in me that I wasn't sure needed to be awoken, but I did go ahead and order a couple pairs. So.
Did you really?
No,
Oh, I was like,
no.
no fucking way.
Well, I
I
could
would
just
love
use
you.
them in duels, right? Just like that's the kind of shit you just take off one finger at a time and slap somebody in the face. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then we hear her shallow breathing as as she scans the area to see who could have turned off the lights. The way this scene is shot and how dark it is, we think there's someone behind every bush and around every corner. It's so
Mm-hmm.
good, the suspense here. And he plays it for a long time. Like he lets you get uncomfortable with it for like goes on for like 30 or 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Very good suspense. And then he builds up that dread and that suspense. And eventually Flo heads back to the car when suddenly the man with the ski mask jumps out of the shadows and strangles her to death with a red and black scarf. Remember? Red and black
Mm-hmm.
scarf. So after she falls to the floor dead, he opens her blouse to reveal her chest and torso, and we get intercut shots of the doll from we saw in the opening with the child's outstretched hand reaching for it. Then we see a great shot of the killer holding a gleaming knife, and then he cuts her torso open. And this looks pretty silly, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's practical effects. It's 1973. Like it looks good for the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it doesn't look like that bright red paint that usually they use for blood. It's like it's still pretty red, but like it's serviceable.
But the torso that we see, it's a fake torso, right? It's just like so that effect is cool.
It does look very like plasticky, very
Yeah,
mold of a human body. Like
like her skin is not gray, guys. Like
yeah, yeah.
I know she's white, but she's not gray white,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was willing to meet them halfway. Like
right?
okay.
Yeah. So then, the next morning, the police have arrived at the crime scene, and the lead detective is questioning the old man who found the bodies. The old man says he found them when he came to quote unquote litter, which is really funny because what he meant was what that means is to take a huge dump, as they would say.
All he said was take a crap, and you
Yeah.
said a huge dump. This guy was
But,
emptying his whole stomach.
but once he saw the bodies, he no longer needed to defecate,
Hmm.
drop the kids off at the pool, go to Browntown, cop a squad, and so on and so forth. Like that was him. That's verbatim. That's what I'm saying.
He said
Like
all of those things.
you don't know Italian. You don't know Italian, Anthony. I translated via that.
Oh, got you. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. That must have
you
been
wouldn't
some of
know.
that.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
understand.
My subtitles were like, no, you don't need to hear all that.
Yeah.
They know how sensitive I am.
In the next scene, we see a zaddy buying a, you guessed it, red and black scarf from a creepy pervert stall owner.
Mm-hmm.
And as the man is paying, Carol, who's a young college student played by Christina Arioldi, approaches the stall and the creepy man bends down as if to get something from underneath his stall, but really it's to get a peek under her skirt.
Mm-hmm.
As he does this, Carol already knows what he's doing, and she kind of like lifts her leg up on the stall to give the man a better look and says, are you making a few sales under the counter today? And he responds, yes, and I'm buying too. And she says, I bet you are. Junk and cast offs. I'm too expensive for you. And then she like
Yes.
kicks at his face as if to tell him to stop being a freaking pervert, you know?
Yeah. To me, that was like, I think that was like a purely Italian gesture where like you don't kick someone, you kick at them. It's a very like fuck off. Like I love that entire scene.
Yeah, it's like she knows he's being a pervert and like
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want him to do it, but she's not like a flower who like runs away. She's like, dude, stop being
Mm-hmm.
a fucking pervert, you know?
Right, exactly. Like, listen, you fucking freak. I'm here to see what's going on with the business, and you're trying to look at my business. No, we don't do things here like that.
And I just wanted to mention that the zaddy is played by Luke Miranda.
The doctor.
So, yeah, the doctor, yeah, Dr. Zaddy, as we say.
Yes, he does have incredible facial features. He looks very pointy man, but in a good way.
His jaw's chiseled, his cheekbones are
Mm-hmm.
chiseled, piercing eyes, you know.
Nice suit.
Yeah. I mean, all around, just like when you think of like peak 70s, like model,
Mm-hmm.
like Italian model, like it's this dude, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So the zaddy then walks away and she asks the stall owner who that was. And we find out that he's actually Dr. Zaddy. Next, Danny shows Carol the news of Flo's death. She got the paper from her uncle, which will come into play later. Classes are canceled for the day, and Jane goes to see Professor Franz. The two of them have a drink at a local bar, and Franz invites Jane to a concert. This town looks gorgeous, like with its architecture and like aqueducts and like
cobblestone walkways.
Yeah, like I don't like. I was telling Hillary, and I've told Hillary, we've had this conversation. I might have even told you, like I've had no desire to go to Italy, just because like growing up in school, like they teach us about European history. They don't teach us about African history. They don't teach us about Asian history. They don't teach us about Latin American history. It's always American history or European history, and it's like I have listened. I've heard enough about European history for my lifetime. Right, that's how I've felt. But seeing this movie and other movies like that take place in Italy, I'm like, God damn, it's so beautiful. I might want to go. You know,
right? No, I'm right there with you. Like I live a very sedentary lifestyle. I don't move unless I have to. But like, if I had the opportunity to be there, I would be walking down those streets. I would be walking up those like stairs of these towers to go look at stuff. Like
yeah,
I would definitely go explore because everything looked absolutely beautiful. Like honestly, the air looked like it was safer to breathe. I don't know if that makes sense, but just everything there just looked way better than what we got going on here.
The air tasted less racisty.
I doubt that.
But as Jane walks to her car, we see Carol in a car with Danny's uncle arguing. And it sounds like he's breaking up with her. So I didn't catch this the first time because like we just met a lot of these people, so we're not like fully like sure who everybody is. So I've seen this movie 4 times, and it wasn't until the 4th time when I was taking notes for this that I caught that it was Carol in a car with the uncle.
Oh, okay.
But once the uncle sees that Jane has seen them, he starts the car and then they drive away. And again, another red herring, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like every scene in this movie has a purpose, right? And it's either to
Right.
further the plot or it's to make you think the killer is somebody else.
Mm-hmm. I think this movie does a very good job at, in my opinion, keeping me invested, because every time we turn a corner, hey, did this guy just do something questionable, or like what's happening over here? It's just very there's a very like the mystery portion of this the mystery aspect of this movie is very present, and I really like that because I think filmmakers for the filmmakers who do make their viewers invested, that's really cool, and it's like great work to do, and it shows a little, I don't know, to me it's more than just creating art. You're like creating an experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And at, along with every line of dialogue being necessary and like all the shots being necessary, a lot of the characters come back as well and serve a purpose to the plot, which is great. Some kind of disappear and we don't see them again,
Mm-hmm.
but the majority of the characters in here serve a purpose, which I
Mm-hmm.
always appreciate. So
Right.
across town, Stefano picks up a sex worker in a dope ass, deep cut, white, like space dress,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I don't know what material it was. Maybe it's vinyl or whatever. I don't know. But she's killing it, right?
Absolutely.
You can always get me with a deep V, right? Like, I love,
Yeah.
love with a deep V.
Honestly, same. Yeah, I love that, especially like if there's just like a little boob, man or female boob showing. It's like, ah, yes, give us a taste, a sample. I love it.
Yeah. So at the hotel room, she tries to get Stefano to take off his clothes and get to it since time is money and she has another appointment. But he seems reluctant to do anything with her. She even offers him some quote unquote assistance, but he swats her away. She says, honey, even if you're queer or impotent, you're not getting out of this. When she demands that Stefano pay, regardless of his actions, Stefano hits and chokes the woman, screaming, don't you ever call me that. Don't you ever say that to me. When he eventually stops choking her, she runs screaming out of the room and leaves behind an unsettled Stefano. So I wanted to go back here a little bit. So she does say, so this is the English translation of the subtitles. I don't know what she says in Italian, if this is actually what she says, but the subtitles say if you're queer or impotent, right? So I think queer in this context isn't a slur, right? She's not saying even if you're gay, like ugh or something like that. It seems to me
I
like she's saying, I don't care what you are, you still got to pay.
I think back then it was a slur.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, queer is as far as I know, for like the last 15, 20 years, queer is a word that's kind of been reclaimed by people who are, it could be gay, lesbian, and then even, some queer people aren't even gay or lesbian. But like it's very recently, in like the last 20 or so years, been reclaimed. But back then, like even in the 90s, I still think it was a slur.
Okay. All right. Well, then never mind. Then she's an asshole, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, with the way that she was talking, she's probably said like, if you're a fag or can't get it up, you still got to pay. That's probably what she said.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I was really like she's championing. She's out here
No.
LGBTQ friendly. Like, okay.
I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. Well, let's ask her.
Well, then that kind of explains why Stefano reacted the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
If queer was a bad word, then the way he reacts is like, don't you call me that? Like, don't you call me the F word or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And that, okay. Cause I was going to ask you, like, what do you think that he's mad at being called queer or impotent? Like, which one is the one he's most mad about?
Right. Honestly, that's like the ego of men. Like, you're literally trying to, like, you hired this woman for her services and you're just sitting there. And like, when she is upset about you literally just sitting in the bed being a fucking weirdo, and then you go and choke her. What did he think he was paying for?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
I don't.
So again, we're keeping an eye on Stefano.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. We already know he has a short fuse.
Right. So the next day, Carol sees Dr. Zaddy in a store and watches him. When she notices him seeing her, she walks away and she bumps into Danny. She tells Danny she has to go, and Danny watches her being taken away by two students from their class on their bikes. Mm-hmm. She seems to go reluctantly.
I think they have the coolest names in the movie.
Yeah, I have it written down further down. Do you remember what they
Oh,
are?
yeah, it's Motorcycle Guy 1 and Motorcycle Guy 2.
Okay.
Well,
No,
I
that
looked at the credits and that's what they're that's how they're credited, and I
okay.
just thought that was like cool. All the
Yeah.
creative things you've done in this movie, this is where you drop the ball.
We don't even know which one is the one with the handkerchief around his neck or not, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So she seems to go with them reluctantly. The gloved killer is driving around that same area, possibly following Carol. And as he passes Danny, Danny looks down into his car and seems to notice something. This next scene sold the fucking movie for me, right?
Oh,
It's so
okay.
dope. They're jamming to some groovy tunes. Sorry. And it's like a hippie party, right? Like we're seeing a hippie party. They're in what looks like an abandoned warehouse that has now been turned into like a free love commune or something. All around there are couples fucking, and in the middle there's a jam sesh with naked women dancing. Never
Smoking pot.
a lot of titties in here, not a lot of dong. Of course,
Unfortunately.
yeah. So it's like 70s, like Italian. They're not gonna. Although, was there a movie we saw recently that was a lot of dong? I don't remember. But anyway, there's a lot of female nudity in here, right? So there's women and some men, and as the scene progresses, even more people join the jam session in the middle dancing. Everybody's high, like they're smoking, probably on acid and all that sort of shit. And I just want to take a second to talk about the fashion in this scene.
Yes. Okay, let's do it.
So there's a dude in a leather vest with no shirt on, and I think he's
Yes.
got an afro, like a white afro,
But
like
yeah.
curly, really curly hair, and he's got a headband. And then there's like other women like dressed like scantily, and like their blouses are open, revealing their chest and all that. But I don't know, man. It all looked awesome, but
It
also
did.
looked smelly.
Oh no, there's one scene where the girl gets up to leave and her full back is fucking sweaty.
Yes,
Yeah,
later on, yeah.
everybody in that room fucking smells. Like it's a fact. And one of the things that I really really liked about this scene was the way that they were dancing, just like full chest out, reminded me of Cookie Divine. And like Cookie Divine would have definitely been at that party dancing topless. Like
Yeah, they were, but like they were also like in step with the music, like
yeah, right.
they
They were
were
dancing well. Yeah.
they weren't out of rhythm, which is kind of cool to see. But then we got to remember these are Italian whites. These aren't the American whites that we're used to.
Exactly. Yeah. They have what, like thousands of years of culture. American whites have like a couple hundred.
So, but yeah, I even dug the music that they were playing. I was like getting into it. It was like a cool vibe.
They look like they were in a barn, no? Some kind of barn?
Yeah, like they had laid straw on the floor because they're dirty
Mm-hmm.
hippies and they like to lay down
Yes.
anywhere, right? Like dudes, the couples are just fucking on the hay. It's like, okay, all right.
Right.
So then we see Carol. She's being kissed by the two men who brought her there, and she's smoking that Kush, that loud, that Pacquiao, right?
The Nightmare at 20,000 feet indica. Like
So she seems to be allowing it, but not really enjoying it, or maybe she's just bored with them and the whole scene. But when one of them tries to unbutton her jeans, she says, "No, you guys got to get naked first." So then when one of them takes off his shirt, she puts her joint out on his chest, yelling, "You both sicken me," which was
hell
awesome.
yeah.
You love to see it.
Fucking pig. I'm out of here.
Right. And it kind of, without giving us a lot of history, like they didn't give us a lot of the history with these three people, right? And so you kind of just got to assume that something happened. And maybe they had gone out before and they had taken advantage of her. Maybe they sexually assaulted her and now they're like picking her up. Maybe they were blackmailing her, and like, it just seems like these guys are up to no good, right?
Right.
Every stare, every glance that we get from them, it's always a menacing stare. So they're trying to tell us something. Right?
Yes, absolutely right.
So I really like that kind of world building that they created here. So she then walks out of the isolated building into the night and into a foggy, marshy area. What an absolutely gorgeous scene here next, right? So she hears the two idiots run out of the building. They get on their bikes, and one threatens to beat her up if he catches her. So she
Yeah.
walks further into the marshy, swampy area. And she's alone. She's a woman at night. She's high as fuck. She's walking
In the
around
forest.
in this this forest, this muddy area. You can't see like 5 feet in front of you because of the
Mm-hmm.
fog and the darkness. Then we go back to the bikers searching for her, and one takes a nasty fall. And I honestly think that actor died and they replaced him with somebody else. Because goddamn, that crash looks like he broke his neck or something, right?
You know
It
what?
was
There's a couple of injuries in this movie, or like things that look like they hurt. Like I think they were real. Like this guy taking that
this
fall on
was
his bike.
real.
Yeah. There's no way they faked it. I
That's what
don't
I was
think.
like. Either he died and they replaced him with somebody else, or like they stopped filming for weeks so he could recover from his back surgery or something. Because
Right.
it's a
Something.
nasty fall.
Mm-hmm.
So as she gets deeper, she comes across a poplar grove, and the cinematography here is just top notch. She's walking in a. It's just a foggy, marshy field. You can't see in front of you. The camera is like pulled back and you could see her, all of her, and she's like lost. I don't know, man. It
Mm-hmm.
just looks, to me, it looked absolutely beautiful.
I absolutely agree with you. Um, I think Evil Dead may have been sort of inspired by this scene, the forest scene.
That's a great call. Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah,
even thought about that, but yeah.
I like the vibe. Like if they were brothers, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that. Okay, they look like they came from the same source. So
Yeah.
I love that, and it just looks great. She looks creepy. Like I'm starting to think like, should I be scared of her, or is there still a threat out there?
Right, because the way she's walking is kind of stilted because she's so high,
Mm-hmm.
and also she's a dirty hippie who's walking in this muddy ground without any shoes,
Barefoot, yeah.
barefoot. Yeah, and her bell bottoms are soaked up to her knees, you know.
Yeah, like oh my god.
And she sees no problem with this, right? Because this is just a
Mm-hmm.
regular day for her. So she then sees the masked killer standing a short distance away in the fog, and then he seemingly disappears into the fog, and Carol backs away. But once she turns around, the killer appears and knocks her down to the ground. Carol is strangled with a red and black scarf, and her head is pushed underwater. Once Carol is dead, the killer pokes her eyes out as we get the scenes of that creepy doll again. Then he
Mm-hmm.
gets a knife and cuts into her, blood pouring down her arm into the swamp below. Again, the shots here are so fucking good. The shot of her looking up at him and him pulling out the scarf against the tree branches and the night sky in the background. I mean, yeah, it's amazing cinematography.
I don't think I've ever, well, maybe I have, but recently I don't think I've seen a kill that brutal, because not only is she being choked by the scarf, she's also having her head pushed into the water so she can drown as well. I've
Yeah.
just never seen somebody get it like that before. Like you're gonna choke one way or another, and I was like, fuck, this guy. Like, I mean, I know he was serious, whoever the killer is,
Yeah.
but it's just such a brutal death. I was just not expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something, and I don't know how problematic it is, but it seems to be a bit of a mercy on his part because she dies quicker, right? Because if she was
Okay.
just being drowned, it would take longer. If she was just being
Yeah.
strangled, it would take longer. But both of those combined, she dies pretty quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it wasn't a mercy on his part, but maybe it was just not even lucky for her. Whatever. Like she dies quicker because of it, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's a brutal death. And then afterwards, he messes with her torso and, you know, does what he does to her body.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, the police show the students of the art class the scarf that connects the two recent murders. Danny looks back and forth between the two biker students and Stefano, trying to remember something about the scarf. Danny tells Jane that the two bikers, Peter and George, who took Carol had no scarves, but she knows she's seen someone wearing that scarf.
Mm.
Jane isn't being a very good friend. She just says, "Nah, you're mistaken." And then again, we see Stefano intensely staring at Danny as they drive off. The police inspector seems to notice Stefano being a creep, and then he walks off. So I think this is the last we see of the police inspector. I don't think they come back. So that's one of these characters where you're like, okay, that's a dead end sort of thing. You know?
Yes.
So outside of Danny's house, we see the killer making a call to Danny. Inside her house, Danny picks up and the killer threatens her, saying not to tell anybody she knows about the scarves. If you don't want to end up like your friends, forget who you saw wearing the scarf. Red and black could become the colors of your death. I was like, that's a dope line. I like that.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
So then Danny's fucking house is gorgeously decorated. I love it all. I'm literally obsessed. I love like the colors, the schemes, everything. It looks great.
She has those lions on the walls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is a lot, but I love it.
Yeah. So Danny's uncle comes home and suggests that Danny go to the country house in Perugia. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly.
Mhm.
For a few days with her friends to hide out and relax. Meanwhile, Inspector Martino interviews. Oh, duh. He comes back right now. Inspector Martino interviews the creepy scarf vendor and asks him if he remembers selling a scarf. The man denies any recollection, but after the inspector leaves, the vendor gets on a payphone and tells someone on the other line that he wants money to keep quiet about who actually bought the scarf in question. So this is what I mean about that, about characters coming back. Like, we thought that creepy vendor was just going to be some random dude, but he actually comes back and is pivotal to the plot. So I just thought that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. He asked for a lot of money too. Like, hey, it's gonna cost you $2 million for me to keep it secret. Like, 2 million, what?
Oh yeah, I think that's 2 million lira, which is like the conversion rate to American to US dollars isn't the same.
Yeah, I tried looking it up, but I'm like, that's too much.
Yeah. So later, Danny tells Ursula and Katya, who appear to be in a relationship, to meet her at the train station tomorrow at 3, and then they ride off on their motorbike. So I just want to back up for a second. Ursula is her black friend, right? And it's never brought up, which is awesome. And besides one comment that's made later on,
right,
her blackness isn't brought up, which is awesome. You know, I love that, and you don't see it very often. You know,
I agree. And this kind of goes back to something you said earlier about how people we see come back. So in the very beginning, we get a close up of Ursula. And I just thought, oh, they're just showing that there's a black girl in the class. Okay, whatever. But come to find out, she's actually friends with like whoever the story is taking place around. So she's not just a character in a classroom. She's a friend of the person who like is experiencing these things. And I really, really love that, because we even said that with like Black Christmas. It's just nice that they're there. Like, because black people are a part of these stories, and like to see a black person in Italy as part of the friend group, it was great to see.
And not even like, let alone that they're in a lesbian couple, right? That also is never referenced. It's just, it is what it is.
Right, just girls being girls, like which I could live for that, absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. So then we get this beautiful shot of these gorgeous marble stair holes leading up to Danny's apartment. And Stefano comes out of nowhere and attacks Danny, saying that she belongs to him. He says, "You belong to me or no one else." And then just then, Danny remembers Stefano wearing the scarf. And she manages to get away from Stefano and calls Jane and asks her to come over. So right away, like, Stefano is our main culprit, and he's a piece of shit, right? And so we kind of want him to die. But
we want nothing but the worst for him. Stefano, right, you suck.
Right, but also, like, if you see enough of these movies, or just like mysteries in general, you know that the main person they want you to suspect is not the person
exactly
you should suspect.
They're not going to give it to us that easy.
Yeah, it's never the person you most suspect, and it's never the person you least suspect. It's always the person you most medium suspect. And that's a quote from The Office. And I'm sorry, but if Hillary was listening, once Hillary listens to this, if I don't make that quote, she's going to be angry at me. So that one's for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So afterwards, Danny tells Jane about Stefano and what happened and his scarf. And Jane doesn't believe her, saying to let it go and you need some rest. And what do you have against that boy? And it's like, fuck you, Jane. Like, your friend is telling you that this man is harassing her, has attacked her, has been like physically abusive towards her. And you're like, oh, get over it. It's like, And
He
then this
said
is the person that we end up with later on, you know?
he literally told me, "You're mine or no one else's," and you think I'm tripping? No, like,
Yeah. She's not being a good friend, and she's kind of
absolutely.
being a dick.
Mm-hmm.
So then Danny tells her about the threatening phone call. So while she's doing so, her creepy ass uncle comes to the door to speak to her, but stops when he sees that she's just in a towel after having just taken a shower. So he stares at his niece until the floor makes a noise and he has to announce himself. So fucking creepy. Like all the men, well, majority
Mm-hmm.
of the men in this movie, right, except for one, except for Dr. Zaddy and maybe the gas station attendant, are like fucking creepy pervs, you know?
Yeah. I like also I didn't really understand how she called her friend over and her friend helps her takes a bath and then the uncle watches the niece with the towel. Like there's a lot going on here that I don't want to know about.
Yeah, I mean, they're closer than we can imagine, Anthony. Like,
Right, yeah.
I mean, you've never been in the room while your friend took a shower. You're just there talking with them. Like it happens to me at least a couple
No.
times a week. No. All right.
No, I guess I'm just one of the weird ones.
So then he says that he's off to Paris, and then he asks Jane to take care of Danny. She says she will, but just for the night, as she has some errands to do tomorrow. She says she will be coming to the country house a little later, and that she will be driving on her own. She wants to talk to Stefano to alleviate Danny's worries about his involvement with the murders. And I'm like, is this the smartest thing to do here? Like, your friend is giving you ample evidence that this man has been harassing her and stalking her, and you want to go and she thinks that he's involved in murders, and you want to go and talk to him and ask him if he's involved in these murders?
Yeah. Because like let's say he is. What do you think is going to happen to you or how do you think that conversation is going to go? Like, you caught me. You're next though. So
Right. You know, like, all right, you know what? My bad. I'm not going to do it anymore. My bad. Chill.
it's like,
Yeah. Stab.
yeah.
So that evening, the scarf seller, the creepy dude,
Mm-hmm.
is walking at night with a healthy chunk of cash when he's
Mm-hmm.
chased down by a car and eventually crushed against a wall. And we get a really cool scene of his head getting exploded against the wall. You know, pretty good effects, I think.
I will say, yeah. The whole time I was like, that can't be good for the car. You're hitting you're hitting this guy against the wall. Like I know you're fucking up your engine or something.
Also, everybody in town is minding their own business, right? Because this is the
Right.
middle of the night, like these cobblestone streets where sound the pin drop reverberates for minutes, right? And like this guy is yelling out and getting crushed to death by a car, and nobody's like, hey, what's going on? Nothing, right?
Right. They're like, I'm gonna mind my business, or that could be me.
Exactly. So the next morning, Jane goes to see Stefano, and after she lets herself into his house, which sure,
Mm-hmm.
fine, she sees a doll, and then we get a flashback to the doll from earlier, and you know whenever the killer kills. So, and then we also see like this cool ass, I don't know, it's a cockatoo or something. Looks cool.
It's a parrot.
It's a parrot. Are parrots that big?
Yeah, it's red, blue, yellow. That's a parrot.
Yeah, Anthony, I told you it's a parrot. Why are you making me feel
A
bad?
macaw. No, you told me. Yeah. Like
Thank you.
we've been
Appreciate
over
you.
this.
She even comes across some troubling letters that he had written to Danny. One says like a promise that she made when she was a little girl, a promise she made to
Mm-hmm.
him. It's like, that's weird.
Yeah, very suspicious all around.
So then suddenly Stefano's grandmother grabs Jane by the collar and scares the shit out of her. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And she says she's looking for Stefano. And the grandmother tells Jane that Stefano was not home last night and that he left without saying where to. That he left this morning without saying where he was going. Meanwhile, Danny and Ursula and Katya are traveling by train to Perugia. And like it's a really beautiful scene where Ursula is laying, or no, I think Katya is laying on Ursula's lap, right? Like she has her
Mm-hmm.
head over her lap, and they're just vibing. They're just being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny's in the car with them. They're traveling by train, by old school train, where it has these like everybody has their own compartments. It looks dope as
I
fuck.
love the. Oh, I love like my that's my favorite mode of transportation, riding the train. Like when I was in college in Tucson, I would take the train home 4 hours, and it was for me it was a fun ass time. I'd have some tequila. At any moment, I was ready for a murder mystery to break out. Like I was just waiting for someone to be like, "Someone on this train is a murderer," and I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's do it."
Let's do that shit. Yeah, I used to take the train, the metro in Chicago from to and from work when I was broke boy and I didn't have a car. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Like I wish I could we like Hillary and I we could travel like across the United States in
Hmm.
a train, but it's so fucking expensive, man.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it so expensive? Like you take longer. Like
Right. It's not really that safe either.
yeah. So but maybe one of these days we'll do that.
I have I'm going to be off for the entire month of July, and one of the things that I really want to do is I want to take that train ride that goes through the country. It's like 4 or 5 days, and like I'm going to have a good time just sitting in the little room watching the scenery. I still don't know if I'm going to do it, but I know I really really want to do that.
That sounds incredible. I think if that's something you really want to do, you should do it because, like, when else are you going to have the time to do it in your life? You know,
Mhm.
like, just take 5 days and just travel the country and by train compartment. As long as it's dope like this, not like don't be no JetBlue like train. That's like,
No, absolutely not. I'm going to have a compartment, a bed. I want the whole situation.
yeah, everything like travel in style, right? That
Mhm.
sounds. I love that for you, and I want that for me.
Thank you. I do also really like this scene because what it instantly reminded me of Hostel Part 1 when the three guys are on the train and then the creepy person comes into their compartment and starts eating his salad with his fingers. And so I was like, this is for me, I was like, this scene birthed that scene, in my opinion.
Yeah, we got a hostile head here, yo. Like,
I love Hostel 1 and well, I love Hostel 2, but I love Hostel 2 so much that 1 is okay.
okay. I saw both of those in the theaters when they came out, and I haven't seen them since. So I may need to revisit.
Hostel 2, oh man, I Hostel 2, I can go on and on.
Really? Okay. Do I need to see part one to see part two again? Because I thought they were like different stories.
So they are different stories. However, part 2 expands on the world of part 1. So like you don't really need to see part 1 because honestly part 1 is the inferior movie, but I think watching part 1 makes part 2 worth it. You understand where these people are coming from, you understand the world a little, you get introduced to the world a lot more, and the way the ending goes, it's not normal of a horror movie ending.
Okay.
Or is it because of capitalism? I don't know.
Well, this has been Hostile Cast, and we'll
Right,
see you
yeah.
next time. But so then Dr. Zaddy enters their compartment and sits by Danny. But I wanted to ask you something. Before that, we saw like it was more of a creepier person looking in, and I think we saw a black leather glove grab the handle. But then as Dr. Zaddy was approaching, they left, right? So I think it was the killer that was going to go in there with them. I don't know if you
Hmm.
caught that or not. Did you?
Yeah, I did, and that's one of the things that really threw me off because when the doctor walked in, I'm like, "You weird motherfucker! You were gonna do something, and now you're acting like things are cool. You're just, oh, I just need a place to sit." I was
Yeah.
very suspicious of him. I'm like, "You fucking weirdo doctor," and you always know like people thought Jack the Ripper might have been a doctor because of how he cut people up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, somebody's committing murders. This person attacked the torso. A little, it seems a little surgical, a little medical. So I'm like, doctor, you're on my list.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good point.
Mm.
So then, Dr. Zaddy enters the compartment, sits by Danny, and he's also kind of being a perv here too because he's just staring at women. Like people have problems with staring at people, and I don't know if it's an Italian thing or whatever, but like, who the fuck are you staring at? Like, stop staring at people.
There's another scene that's coming up quite soon, and I was like, yo, your eyes, you have a staring problem for sure.
Yeah, like you have no home training, right? Like, what is wrong with you?
You're like, oh my, it's jarring to me. Like, there's Literally, someone fully is out here killing people. But those stairs, I'm like, ugh, I'm creeped out. Like,
Yeah, I wonder if it's a cultural. If it's a cultural thing, I apologize. I don't know like Italian culture, but if
mhm.
in the American culture, it seems it's a bit off-putting, right? So then they arrive in Perugia and draw some attention with their revealing modern clothing as they purchase goods at a local grocery store for the week. So Ursula was sitting on top of the tractor in her short dress, like giving everyone a view of the goods. And I
Mhm.
love it. Like,
Yes,
here's
absolutely.
this beautiful black woman being sexy to her standards, not the typical European standards of beauty, like
Mhm.
afro and all the
Mhm.
men are digging it. Like they're all like, "Ooh, look at her thighs, like look at her body, like ooh, they're
See,
horny as shit."
that's the part that unsettled me because there's even some men who aren't speaking, they're just staring, and like in my head I could hear them fucking grunting and like, oh yeah, I'd like to get me a piece of that. And I'm like, oh my, like I think some of the men were drooling. Maybe I made that up.
Well, so we're in the country, and so there's like old men with no teeth that are like smiling, and then
Mm-hmm.
like one of their wives like slaps him like, "Oh, why are you staring at her?" or something like that.
Yeah.
But again, and I harp on this because it's so doesn't happen specifically in 70s movies, but also to this day, like it's not mentioned about her race, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
awesome. So then Danny and Katya arrive with the horny ass milkman and tell him to bring milk and bread every day. And then as I think it's Danny, yeah, I think as Danny is going up the stairs, climbing into the tractor, like the
Hmm.
milkman like looks up her skirt and he's like, "Ooh," like,
Yeah.
"Damn, dude, fuck,
Like
man, chill the
he
fuck
bit his
out."
lip.
Yeah,
It was a lot. I'm like, have you never seen a beautiful woman in your life? I don't know because,
I
and
mean, I
honestly,
thought there was beautiful women all over Italy, like, right? So, like, what's happening? Yeah,
you
this
know,
is this is pre-internet. This is like has no access to porn.
right,
Like they're just walking around horned up the whole time. They're not releasing. It's a Catholic
right.
country. Masturbation is frowned upon.
It's a
Okay,
little
it's
village. Nobody lives there.
right. They're seeing these country women with like their like quote unquote like liberal ideas of like women being able to wear whatever they want.
Mm.
So I get it. I get it. But
That's
also
so. That's funny.
chill. So then they take the tractor up to the house which I thought was pretty funny. Like the only way to get up there is by tractor. It's just kind of cute.
Right. It just added to the whole charm of like you're in this European little town, and like the only way you need to go up to your fucking sprawling manor is by a tractor. It
Yeah,
just seemed like it reminded me of Dracula when they had to take the little carriage to his castle. I don't know
right.
why.
And that's the right word, charming. It's very charming. So then the villa that they're staying at overlooks the town, and it's like gorgeous, right? As they leave, a crowd forms around a man named Balak,
Mm-hmm.
who seems to be like the town quote unquote weirdo,
Mm-hmm.
I believe he can't talk. He might be I don't know if mute's the right word. I think I remember reading that you're not supposed to use mute. So I'll just say he can't
Oh,
talk.
really?
Yeah.
I for some reason I thought he didn't have a tongue. I don't know why I thought that.
That might be just based on like the guttural sounds he makes later in the movie and
Mm-hmm.
so stuff. So yeah, I could see that being the case.
But this is
So that
another example we get of a town simpleton who can't talk, like in Blood and Satan's Claw. I don't know what it is, but like I love those characters.
yeah, that's right. Look at you bringing back Blood and Saints Claw. Look at you. So they make fun of him and they tease him and they say he'll never get a woman like that. And then he's like they say you should go after them. You should kind of like check them out or whatever. And then he does, and nobody stops him. Right? Like he's legit holding a knife, and nobody stops him. Again,
Right.
another possible red herring or another possible suspect here.
Mm-hmm.
So as she's walking to her car, Jane sees a note that the professor wrote on the dust on her windshield about meeting on Thursday for a concert. And honestly, to me, this was disrespectful, right? Because like somebody wrote, that's like somebody saying, "Wash me," right?
Right.
I
I thought
hate
it was
that shit.
cute.
But you're making me look like a slob because I never washed my car, which I literally never wash my car. So
Oh.
that might be a personal thing. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know, because like my brother works at a car wash, so like Everybody that we know,
Oh,
their cars are washed.
hell yeah. That's the hookup right there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a car. I don't drive. But like my parents, my brother, his friends, family, like their cars are good.
Have we talked about this? You don't drive your car. Do you have a license?
Nope.
You
I
never
know how
wanted
to
to get your
drive.
license?
No, when I was 18, I went to college and I didn't need a car. And then I moved back home for a year. My parents taught me to drive and they let me use their car to go out through our little town.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Phoenix and then I found out Uber was a thing. I started working for Uber and now I get free rides.
Okay. All right. That seems like a logical progression. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But from 16 to 18, what was going on?
Oh, I didn't care. Like my
Well,
parents
like, did
couldn't
your
afford.
friends have like cars and like you can just
Yeah.
ride with them or something? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the thing. My friends also had cars, and like when I was 16, it was quite clear my parents weren't going to buy me a car. So like, what's the point in learning how to drive?
Okay.
So,
I feel you. All right. But yeah, so for me, it's a thing where like I know I keep my car dirty, and if somebody points it out, I'm like, "Fuck you,
you
man."
took you took it personally.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, because I used to be somebody who like would keep their car like impeccably clean, but that's when I had a
Mm,
car that I really loved. Like
mm.
this car, I don't care about. So I
Oh.
digress. Moving on. This is not a therapy session,
Right.
even though
So tell me
sometimes
why
it
you
feels
hate.
like, yeah,
Like, tell me why you hate your bitch car and why you treat it like shit.
that's right. Because it reminds me of me. All
Oh, this took a turn for the worst, and I
right.
apologize bringing it up.
Now I made it awkward, and we're gonna move on. So at night, the women, minus Jane, are at the villa hanging out. Ursula looks fucking incredible in her top. She's got like a wraparound top. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what you would
Mm-hmm.
call it. And then Danny explains that they put up bars on all the windows since most of the year the house is unoccupied and the thieves kept getting in. So that's kind of like letting us know further on later in the movie why she can't escape easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they start to worry about. Well, first of all, let's back up. Let's talk about Ursula.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about her.
What did you think about this? The top, the whole outfit, everything. Like, I want to hear what you thought of it.
I love everything I see her in. And this one specifically, like my eyes came out of my head a little bit. I was like, that's fucking sexy.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And like women wear that kind of shirt today. And for some reason, they get made fun of for it on the internet by straight men. It's like straight men will like tweet, oh, I'm pretending to be a girl going out this summer. And they have that little boob wrap shirt.
Okay. I
And
think I've seen that on TikTok.
yeah, like guys will put like toilet paper and make it look like that shirt, or they'll put a towel on. And so I absolutely loved to see it here because one, she looked absolutely great. The colors were great. It was, and also I I don't know what the intentions were of including her in this movie, but I do love seeing like black femininity or black woman painted in this light where she just is. She's just gorgeous. She's the moment. And it's there's no negative attention drawn to her for any reason. And I really like that.
Yeah. There's one thing that happens later on
Right. And the
that
thing about that is she's not even there, so it's like to me it would be different if she was like in the same room with them or like she could hear them speaking about her. But what we hear later is just a bunch of gross men being gross men. I was going to ask you later, like, do men
yeah.
talk like
Well,
that?
there's that, and then there's one other thing that the killer does that I'll bring up. And
Oh, okay.
if you don't think about it, like it's just something that you and I will understand when we get there.
Okay.
So then they start to worry about Jane because she hasn't arrived yet, nor has she called. Next, we see Jane arriving outside of the village in her car at a gas station to ask for directions, and she's told that she's very close to town. She's like, "Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. Can I get a car wash for tomorrow?" Well, can we get a car wash? And the mechanic says that he cannot work on the car. He can't do the car wash until tomorrow because they're already closed. So he jumps in the car with Jane, and then they drive up together, and then he'll wash her car in the morning and bring it back to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's amenable to that. So then at the house, Jane arrives. They're all happy to see her. Then Jane tells Danny that Stefano probably did not commit any murder. How she knows this, I have no idea, because the grandmother literally said he wasn't at home and he has disappeared. So again, she's
That's like
like
when
gaslighting her friend.
that's like when people are sick and they're like, "Oh, but I'm not contagious." How the fuck do you know? Like, "Oh, he probably didn't commit any murders." You don't know where he's at. Don't no, I'm sorry. I took personal offense to that because I'm like, you're insulting the intelligence of the person that you're speaking with.
Yeah, and it's like, I know what's best for you. I'm going to keep this information from you,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make you think that you're safe when you're actually not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if she had been forthcoming and told her that they don't know where Stefano is, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have answered the door later on, right?
Yeah.
So you withholding this information is leading to the detriment of your friend and all your friends, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a fucked up thing that she did.
I agree. And one of the reasons I think I take it so personally is because when you do this kind of thing, you prevent the people that you claim to love or be close to, you prevent them from making an informed decision. Like, if this person had doubts that maybe Stefano was a killer, maybe they wouldn't have stayed at that villa that weekend. Maybe they would have went right back home. Maybe they would have left in the morning. But like, you denied them the ability to keep themselves safe in the way that they deem fit. And to me, that's a very shitty thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, she's honestly the villain of this movie. So,
Yeah.
so then Danny remembers the Stefano scarf design was slightly different than the scarf design of the killer, right? So he was
I
wearing the scarf he was wearing had red stripes on a black background, not the black stripes on a red background as described by the police. And also, this is fucking ridiculous, right?
well, I was gonna say, can I admit something?
Yeah,
This is the moment that I fell in love with this movie
really.
because
Okay.
I absolutely love the fact that they could tell. No, no, no. His scarf was black on red. The killer's scarf was red on black. I cannot express to you why I love that detail. Like maybe because I can't tell the difference, but like to me in Italy, where I think fashion like is always kind of at its peak, and we follow suit later on in other countries. I just love that this is an attention to detail that like a normal person can like figure out. Like
Yeah.
for me, I would need help and an art teacher to tell me like, no, this is that, this is that. Like I can't just figure that out by looking at them.
Yeah, I had to reread my notes a couple times. Like, what? But yeah, so you would love the movie hinging on like a fashion accessory, right?
I love that. I love like, and it's like, no, 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 it's not this one. It's this one that looks exactly the same but different.
Yeah. It's like, no, the killer wasn't wearing purple. They were wearing chartreuse. There's a
Ex-
difference.
exactly. I was like, listen, if you're gonna go so far as to tell me there's a difference, I'm gonna believe you.
Okay. So she realizes there was a difference, but she knows that she saw a man driving a car earlier wearing that scarf, but cannot remember who it was. We then get a scene of some of the local boys talking about the three, listen, three, listen, three girls that are up there and how much they'd like to have sex with them. And then this is the scene that we were talking about. One of them asks, "What about the black girl?" And the other
Mm-hmm.
simply says he doesn't like black girls. He prefers white girls. And
Mm-hmm.
then the matter is dropped. So like no nasty shit is said here, which
Mm-hmm.
again I can appreciate. There's no racial stuff here. You can have your likes and your dislikes. Like he's wrong, but he can have those
Mm-hmm.
opinions without insulting people's races. So while they do reference her race here, I don't think, and let me know if you think differently. I don't think it was as an insult more than a preference.
Well, I mean, okay. This what he said was like quite literally one of the tamest things you could say. But like I always it's very important that if we're talking about preferences, we're talking about what you like, not what
Mhm.
you don't like. So like to say you don't like something, that's not a preference, not in my opinion anyway. Your
Okay.
preference is what you prefer.
Yeah.
But there is something to me that I've seen as a black Mexican person where like in Mexican circles they won't get into details, but they're like, oh, I don't like black girls, or oh, I don't like black guys, and it's just like very matter of fact, and it's like black people look so different. I can get into a whole thing about how black people can be white and black, and
Right.
like there's so many different kinds of black that like for you to just say you don't like black people, like you are being racist. You are. There's no. ifs, ands, or buts about it. But like at the very least, in this way, this guy was just saying, "No, I don't like black girls." Not like, "Oh, I don't like their dark skin," or "I don't like their big lips." Like he could have very easily made it worse than it
Yeah.
was. So like as someone who like doesn't like being called the N-word, I kind of just like he kept it at that. Like I don't like black girls. Let's go on.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point in that black girls are like, or black people in general are like the color of the rainbow. They could be as white or as dark
Mm-hmm.
and anywhere in between. And they also have different features.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one black face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess you're right to say you don't like black women. That is coming from something other than attraction, right? That's coming from
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm. Conditioning or
yeah, exactly,
something like that.
conditioning. Right, right, right. Like if he were to see, I don't know, like there's black women that can pass, quote unquote, pass as white, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like if he were to see a woman that he thought he was white and like her, and then he finds out she's black, which would he be? Oh, she's black. I don't like her. I don't know, you know. But you're right.
Exactly. Exactly.
There is an undercurrent to that comment. So you're right. I did
Mm-hmm.
want to say that here, that there is a racial undercurrent to what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like like two black women. There's Grace Jones and Doja Cat. They look drastically different, and they're both black. So like, and I don't know. Trust me, to say that you don't like this, you're wrong. You're immediately wrong. Like,
Yeah. Grace Jones, fucking amazing, like iconic, right? Have you seen
mm-hmm.
Vamp?
I have not seen it yet, but it's on
Okay.
the list.
Yeah, definitely recommend that. Yeah, she's great. I mean, she doesn't talk. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if she has very many or if any speaking lines, and that sucks. But like her look and her character is just
Yeah.
amazing in that movie. So I'd recommend.
And real quick on the subject of lines, I thought for the most part during this movie, Ursula had no lines. And then I was like, you know what? Well, I'm just glad she's here. And then come to find out as the movie goes on, she actually does have lines. And like, I fell in love even more. I'm like, okay, so now you're in the story. You're here. It was, I don't know. I feel like I haven't gotten that in a long time.
Yeah, I completely felt the same way, and I should have mentioned it earlier. Yeah, like at the very beginning, we just, like you said, we just see her character, and then little by little, as she's drawn into the story more, her character is given more to say, and that's awesome. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's got this background of being in a relationship with another woman, and it looks like a very
Mm-hmm.
loving relationship, and then she has lines, and she's joking, and like she seems like an all around, like a rounded, well developed character.
Like a person. And it's
Yeah,
great.
which is great to see in a movie from
Mm-hmm.
1973.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely right. And there's another scene, it's just really cute where they're like frolicking by the
Yes.
river. And it's just like you get to see her be a fucking person. You get to see her be a student, a lover, just a person. I don't know. I feel like a lot of movies don't put emphasis on like, hey, these are actual people,
Yeah.
not just the strong character or something like that.
100% agree.
Mhm.
So then the killer arrives at the villa. Sorry, that's my last name. The killer arrives at the villa and watches through a window as Ursula strip teases for Katya. Stunning, beautiful, like amazing. Like her body is just
Mhm.
amazing, right? Everything she's doing, I fucking love it. I love this character.
Mhm.
We then see Balak as well. He's a peeping Tom looking in the window as the women lie on the bed and have sex. So Balak sees suddenly the killer approaches him with a knife, and so he runs back to town and hides. But like you said, he doesn't scream. So I assume he doesn't. He doesn't have a tongue and he can't scream. I don't know. He's just making these guttural noises, right?
Mm-hmm. Like he couldn't even yell. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah. So then eventually the unseen killer finds him and slashes his throat. Balak putting up no fight whatsoever. So I don't know if he's just so fucking terrified, or they're like, we need to get this kill in. Let's just keep it moving. I
Well,
don't
no,
know.
he did everything he could, which was doing nothing and letting it happen.
Like, what more do you want from Balak?
Yeah, like listen, I'm out of options here.
So then the killer carries Balak's body back to the villa and dumps it in, I believe, a water tower.
Oh well, that's what I thought.
Or a sewer. I don't know which one it was. Right?
Mm.
They don't make it clear. So then the next day, the horny milkman comes to deliver some groceries, some milk, and some bread, as Katya, Ursula, and Danny are nakedly sunbathing. So as he's approaching, like this guy, he's like, oh,
Right.
oh. It sounds like
He's
he's
like,
watching. It's definitely giving me anime vibes.
yeah. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah,
Just making sounds and like in awe of what you're seeing.
yeah, just
I'm
horned up.
surprised he didn't he didn't shoot in his little pantaloons right
He
there.
did. He definitely did.
Yeah.
Like he made some milk in his pants.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Definitely the milkman. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Jane announces his arrival, and the women run to put on clothes, giggling the whole way. And like I
That was so
know,
cute.
but also I know a man wrote this because like he has these women just like giggling, ha! Like a man has been watching you nakedly sunbathe. You know, like
This is what men think women do when they're on vacation.
I mean, this is what I think they do. So, but
and pillow fights.
yeah, but I am aware enough to know that I am wrong.
I mean, I thought they were all drunk, passed out. I was like, yeah, you're really on vacation. I love that shit.
That's that Anthony Jerome M vacation there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're in a nice countryside, drunk as fuck, sunbathing.
Hell
Italy,
yeah.
baby.
So then Jane runs down the stairs to meet them, and she slips and twists her ankles. And this was actually very funny to me, and I don't know why. Just like seeing her eat shit like that, just go over and over. And you
This is
sent
one
me
of
a
those.
GIF.
I was gonna say this is one of those scenes like this was real. She fell down the stairs.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I think because it was hilarious to me as well,
Yeah.
and because it looked real. Like none of that looked fake.
Yeah. Either it was fake or the stunt woman who did it did a great job, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna say that because I'm gonna allow that the stunt woman did a great job at her, was great at her job. So Danny sends the milkman to get a doctor, right? Because he's just standing there like a fucking bumbling idiot, like looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
So then outside the villa, we see Stefano is way back in the village using binoculars to spy on them. It's like, dude, you are, in my Mariah Carey voice, like, why are you so obsessed with me? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're doing too much.
Yeah. So then Dr. Zaddy enters. And he visits the house to check on Jane's ankle, and Danny remembers him from the train. Dr. Z tells her to stay in bed and rest and leaves some sleeping pills to help her sleep tonight. While she's walking the doctor out, Danny gets a call from her uncle saying he's in Paris, and she says, based on the quality of the connection, it sounds like he's right next door. Again, is it the uncle? We don't know.
Right. I honestly, I was like, what does this mean? Like, is he in the house? Is the call coming from inside the house or what? Like,
there we go. So with Jane disabled, the three other women walk to a spring behind the villa to skinny dip. While swimming, Danny thinks she sees Stefano and calls out to him, but Ursula and Katya do not see anyone. So that's my question to you. Do you think it was him, or do you think that she was? Do you think she was imagining it? I think it was there, right?
No, it was him. It was him. Everything leads me to believe it was him, especially when what happens to him later.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you were there.
Yeah. So then that evening, the women say goodnight to the bedridden Jane as she takes the sleeping pills and champagne. So she will be out of it for the whole night and most of the next morning. So then Danny offers to play the piano for Katya and Ursula, and then they leave downstairs. Later, after playing a pretty tune, Danny decides to call Stefano to see if he's at home, and if he is, she's just going to hang up because she's feeling nervous. She's anxious about him, right? And her friend's been gaslighting her, and she still feels like something's wrong. And then she discovers that the phone is dead. So the door buzzes, and Stefano is. They open the door. Eventually, right? They're very cautiously, but they open the door. Although I thought I saw a peephole, so why they didn't use the peephole is beyond me.
I did too. Okay, I'm like, is this just some sort of weird door decoration, or is that a peephole? Because it looked like a peephole.
Yeah, which if you got the peephole, use the damn peephole. Use your Ring camera for a reason.
Hello, yes.
So then they open the door, and we see Stefano, and he's standing in the doorway with his scarf, and he's looking straight ahead. But suddenly he drops to the floor, dead, and we reveal that the masked killer is behind him, clutching onto Stefano's scarf. So Danny and the other two women scream, and then it fades to black, and we get the next scene. So I wanted to talk about this for a second. In a genre like horror, and specifically giallos and eventually slashers, that's known for its kills, to just fade to black and just go to the next morning and not show any of the kills, I thought was so bold and so daring and so
Mm-hmm.
ballsy, and like I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I thought it was a very interesting choice.
yeah, because I mean, honestly, one of my problems, one of my main things, and I've talked with Hillary about this, my main problem with giallo is that it's so misogynistic towards women. Like I've seen multiple giallo where a woman gets stabbed in her vagina, you know, like or
Mm,
like she gets like parts of her breasts cut off or like
yeah.
stuff like that. So much violence towards women. And don't get me wrong, like obviously we see the after effects later and we see some violence earlier in the movie, right? But they don't, this particular movie, like to just move forward in time and not show three women getting violently accosted, like, or attacked, like I'm for it. You know, I like that.
Right. Yeah, like I didn't need to see it because I mean, I'm a little interested in how he got all three of them without one of them running away, but I do like personally I didn't need to see it. It just made sense that you did kill them all. And so, to have somebody wake up in the aftermath of that, that honestly that's a little bit more terrifying than watching these women be killed because now we have to put ourselves in her shoes and think about, damn, is this guy still here? What happened to my friends? Uh, the terror and the danger level seem more heightened looking from you know the other woman's perspective who's still alive. So like fading to black, I think ultimately served a fantastic purpose in this movie. Like we didn't need to see them being killed.
Yeah, and to one of your points, Ursula even says when they first got there that it felt like a prison because all those
Mm,
bars were on the windows. So
mm-hmm,
once you get into the house, once the killer gets into the house, where are they going to go? We don't know if there's another exit door. Maybe they haven't opened up that exit door and it's
mm-hmm,
locked up. You know, like yeah, I think I completely believe that he's able to kill those three. The other thing I was going to say is that it now switches from like a giallo film to like a home invasion movie,
okay,
right?
yeah,
And it
absolutely.
becomes nothing but terror and like thriller based, you know. And
Mm-hmm,
it reminds me of Hush.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
it also reminded me of a movie from 1967 starring Audrey Hepburn called Wait Until Dark. And it's about a woman who was recently just turned blind,
Mm,
and a man has broken into her house, and I don't remember if it's specifically to kill her or to rob her or something like that, but like it has that vibe is what is the vibe that we're going into right now. And
mm-hmm.
it's so cool like that this movie just kind of switches that 2/3 into the movie. We're now like there's only half an hour left in this movie, right? And also one of our main I thought our main protagonist was Danny, right? And she's now
Yes,
dead.
yes.
So like there's so many choices that are being made here that are so bold, and I fucking love it for it, you know?
I, I, yeah, I absolutely really love this too. Like, I jokingly said this movie's Whiplash, but it is in a good way. Like, I thought Danny, like, we're worried about her being stalked. We're worried about her uh, seeing Stefano in a place where she's taking refuge, only to find out, nah, you can get it too. Let's talk about your friend who we don't like.
Yeah, because now our possible final girl is the one that we haven't liked very much because she's been
hmm
gaslighting her friends. So
And to me, that's another interesting thing
right,
to
right.
to lie to your friend about the danger not existing for you to be the sole focus of the danger.
Yeah. So the next morning we see the killers bearing Stefano. Then Jane wakes up and limps to the window and looks down at this wonderful view of the village from her
Mm,
bedroom. Looks amazing. Then she notices how late she slept. She then limps to her door and calls out to her friends, and nobody responds. So then she walks to the bathroom and places like this. She has a fucking toolbox of beauty supplies.
yeah,
I love it.
fucking tackle box.
Yeah, tackle box, exactly. She puts that down on the sink. But then she has this weird feeling. So she continues to call out to her friends. Nobody responds. So she slowly walks down the stairs and notices some things being off, like chairs flipped and an overall messiness that wasn't there last night. Suddenly she screams and she sees Ursula and Katya dead in the living room, having been stabbed multiple times. R.I.P. Ursula. You know, we hardly knew you. You deserve better. You're our queen.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So Danny appears and reaches out to Jane, but she falls to the floor also from being, I'm sorry, but eventually she falls to the floor and dies from being stabbed. And she also dies before she can tell Jane anything. Suddenly, Jane hears the front door being unlocked. She runs and hides. And the unseen black-clad killer enters the living room and begins sawing Ursula's corpse with a saw as Jane cringes in her hiding spot behind a door from the sight and sounds of it. So I want to back up here. This is the second part where I thought probably not racial, but also why you got to go for the black girl first?
Okay, so yeah, like I understand the killer stabbed someone's torso, but like to see Ursula being sawed apart, I was like, why are you putting this much energy into the black girl? I don't like what. Yeah, sure, you're a murderer whose motives can't be explained, but like, why are you doing all that for her? I don't know.
Like, we already hated you, now we hate you more.
Yeah, she's like, why are you putting her through that? Like,
yeah, but like I know, like he will eventually saw them all apart, but start somewhere else, man. Like read the room.
Right? He just like, I don't know. Maybe he was bored of all the whites he's been killing. So
probably,
like,
yeah. Like this is the only black person that he's killed, you know, as far as we know. So he wanted to live a little, you know.
He's like, finally, fuck. Like,
also like the fact that she has to sit there and be quiet and like see as her friend is being cut to pieces. It's horrifying, right? That's crazy.
And I think this movie does a good job of letting us know that they were friends before this happened. So it's like even more heartbreaking because like you are watching your friend be ripped apart, as opposed to like other movies where it's like, oh my gosh, the black person I came here with is being torn apart. Like it's like my friend is being torn apart.
Yeah, exactly. We hadn't mentioned that, but we totally believe that this crew would hang together. There's not one bitchy like friend among them who's like just always messing around, or no, they're like a crew of friends who just loves each other and just vibes all the time, you know. I never for a second didn't think that they wouldn't be hanging out.
Right. Same.
Right. So yeah, they did a great job with that. Then I wanted to mention the slow way that the killer walks everywhere, and we hear his footsteps echoing in the silent house, and it's just great, right? And they even do it at night when he's walking in the empty streets. That's what it adds to the ambiance. It adds to the terror and the suspense to it. So the fake arms and the blood coming out of it look good, also, like all around. Like more often than not, the special effects were good. There was that torso in the beginning that was questionable, right? So just then, the milkman arrives with his groceries and leaves when eventually nobody answers the door. After he leaves, the killer resumes sawing up Ursula, and then he puts her disembodied remains in a plastic bag and walks out. Jane comes out of her hiding place and heads for the stairs, and then freezes when the door is opened again. But then the killer is only throwing the bread and the milk delivery left behind. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying scene when this happened. I was like, oh shit. It totally got me.
And it's like such a cool scene because like the killer is doing that so the milkman knows they took their groceries. But like she thinks, oh fuck, he's coming back. It's such a mix of like, it's awesome. I love it. I love it so much.
I mean, it's honestly smart writing, smart storytelling, you know? So, finding the telephone dead and the front door locked and all the windows barred, Jane goes upstairs despite the intense pain from her sprained ankle.
Well, she's wearing heels, so she's not making it any better.
Right. Exactly. Thank you.
She's wearing heels. I mean, also, the only person I've ever seen fall down the stairs and up the stairs. So,
yeah. So she falls up the stairs and loses her shoes in the process, right? Her slippers have come off, her shoes, whatever. So then Jane goes to her bedroom window and sees the town below. She tries to signal somebody using her cosmetics mirror reflecting sunlight, which is very smart. I really like how
Mm-hmm.
they try to make some of the things she does smart. They don't make her overall dumb. Like she does some dumb things
Mm-hmm.
like being mean to her friend, but when it comes time to like her being the way the things she does, I believe, right? Like
Yeah.
in all the horror movies, the trope is they go upstairs because they're dumb, right? She literally has nowhere else to go. She has to go
Right.
upstairs. All the doors, all the windows are barred. That sort of thing, right?
That's one of two for me. That's one of two incredibly smart things that she does. That I'm like, if I was there 10 days, I don't think I would have come up with that as a way to like escape. I was like, yo, I don't know what things were like back in 73, but like, how do you have all these survival tactics in your head? Like, let me use my mirror to signal the town with the reflection. I was like, was your childhood okay? Where did you learn this?
It's giving very much You're Next vibes, right? So also what I was going to say was, like you were saying, like I wouldn't have thought of that. I was like, why doesn't she just yell? Well, because the guy is just outside on the other side of the house burying the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
If she yells, the only reason, and I don't know if we explicitly stated this, but the only reason why she's safe right now and isn't dead is because he only thought there was 3 people there. He didn't look for a 4th
Mm-hmm.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so if she goes around making noises, he's automatically going to come in and kill her, and she's dead. So that's why she
Mm-hmm.
uses the mirror to reflect sunlight down to the village,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's why she doesn't yell. So just again,
But also,
very
they're
smart.
so secluded. They're so secluded. If she did yell, who's gonna know?
Exactly that. Then Dr. Zaddy's in town, and he looks up at the house and he sees the reflection of the mirror, and so he checks the phone directory and places a call to the house and receives no answer. So Jane, seeing the killer coming back, quickly cleans up the bedroom and hides all her clothes and other stuff in an armoire to give the appearance of no one being there. Was this the other
Mm-hmm.
thing you were talking about being smart?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Well, I never would have thought of this. I would have just would have been fucked.
But honestly, now there's 3 things.
Yeah.
This is so yeah, no, that's absolutely smart. Like she's making up the bed, putting away the sheets and the bedding, like
Yeah.
absolutely everything to make it seem like there's no trace of anyone there. Like, yeah, I don't know where she was supposed to hide, but I understand what she was doing.
Yeah. So then she finally remembers that her slippers or her shoes have gone missing, and she looks outside the bedroom door and sees them on the floor, or on the
Staircase.
staircase, right? So she also sees the killer sawing up the dead body of Katya, and just then the gas station owner arrives with Jane's car and knocks on the front door. The killer again freezes, and Jane is unable to make a sound out of fear of being discovered. So the gas station man leaves. As Jane goes to the window to try to signal a warning, she knocks over a chair. So the killer comes running up the stairs, forcing Jane to hide in the armoire. After looking around the room and finding no one or any belongings, the killer believes that the swinging window is what made the noise. So then he locks the bedroom door with Jane still inside and leaves the key in the door on the outside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the killer then finds Jane's slippers on the steps, but he just picks them up and throws them into the bathroom. Jane is now locked in her own room while the killer goes back downstairs to resume sawing up Katya and Danny's dead bodies and leaves with them to bury them in a field a short distance away. When he is finished with burying the bodies of Stefano, Ursula, Katya, and Danny, the killer then cleans up the house, washing away the blood, and leaves while Jane watches, but she is still locked in her bedroom. I should say while Jane listens, but she's still locked in her bedroom. In the meantime, Dr. Zaddy is driving with a woman to see the woman's ailing husband. Once they round a bend, he stops the car to look up at the villa on the hill. Nope, villa.
I love that.
He stops the car to look at the villa up on the hill. It's not very smart because as he does, a truck rounds the same bend and smashes right into them.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Zaddy says, he does a felony and leaves the scene of the accident. Or a misdemeanor.
It was the 70s. It was
Yeah.
the 70s. Nobody cared. Everybody's alive. All right. Go on about your business.
And like the truck driver is like out of his car going, "Hey, Bafangu, what are you doing?"
Where's the fucking
Yeah.
gabagoo?
So then at night, The milkman tries to convince a group of local men that there are 4 women at the house as opposed to 3 the men had seen arrive. The
I
killer,
I I kind of wish it was just he was convincing them that it was just 4 women, because no, what he says is 4 sets of asses, 8 tits, 8 pairs of legs or whatever. I was like, man, have you never seen a woman before? Because like I I don't know.
it's very juvenile. It's very
Very,
13-year-old
very.
boy. And these guys are
Hmm.
like in their 20s, it looks like.
They're men. Like
Yeah.
they're grown.
Yeah, yeah. I failed to mention the 8 titties and 8 pairs of legs. Yeah.
I was like, God damn! Like, are you like? Listen, there's magazines all over the place. Like, you can get, like, you don't need to act like this.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? The one thing like women really love is like horned up men who are just like salivating every time they come around.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they love it,
They
men.
love it. They love it.
Women love it when you don't know how to fucking act in their presence.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the killer is nearby and overhears the men talking and runs back to the house. And I think these fucking idiots, like these women are being fucked by men every which way they go. They're being sexualized, they're being harassed, they're being like killed. And like
Hmm.
this woman, sorry, escapes this traumatic thing. She almost escapes, right? She believes she has escaped. And then because
Hmm.
of these fucking idiots talking the way they do, like the killer finds out and goes back.
8 tits, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so really, really frustrating. But also, I don't know, convenient on a killer, like for a plot device, but also kind of interesting. Like, how else is he going to find out? I don't know. It was
Hmm.
good. I don't know how I feel about how he found out.
To me, so there's something that I really like in movies, which is called like extreme bad luck. So like we think initially this woman is lucky because she didn't get murdered with her friends. She tries to escape, and then we see the doctor, who we don't know if he's the killer or not. We see that she gets his attention, and we're like, oh fuck, now she's gonna get killed because he knows someone's still there. And like that doesn't happen. The killer comes back. She gets locked in a room. Like we think she's gonna get killed, and we think she's fucking making it. But what I really, really, really like is how circumstances completely beyond anyone's control has the killer going back to go find her, because these men who can't control themselves, I just like, you're having the unluckiest day today, and like like today is your most unluckiest day. And like to me, there's just like, I hate it. Like we all have those kind of days where like everything can go wrong, but like in this movie, I'm just like, I choose to believe it, because like I don't know if you've ever had a day go from bad to worse, but this is what that seems like.
Yeah, it should be titled like Jane's very, very bad, no good day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wake up, my friends are dead. The guy brought the milk and the bread, but like couldn't save me.
All my friends are dead.
All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge.
Push me to
Right,
the
yeah.
edge. So at the same time, Dr. Zaddy goes to the gas station to get fuel before driving away and sees Jane's car there. The gas station manager tells him that although no one answered the door when he went to drop off Jane's car earlier, he also says that he did not see any of the other women leave. So this worries Dr. Z, and so he drives up to the house, right?
Hmm.
Which, like, good for him. Like, he has a concern about this patient and like, or all the women there, not just one patient, but all the women there, and then he follows through to make sure that they're safe.
In my opinion, I wasn't sure if it was concern or if he wanted to make sure that he killed everybody in the house.
Oh, fuck. Because at
Yeah,
this
no, so
point, we're
this
still not sure who it is, right?
right, exactly. And I wasn't like, I couldn't tell if it was him or not.
Good point. Good point. You see, you're useful sometimes. I appreciate that. So,
Listen, I'm just speaking as someone who was scared for what could happen.
so back at the house, Jane still locked in her bedroom. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. This scene.
This is the thing I was talking about, the smart thing that I would
Smart
have
thing.
never thought of.
Yeah. So then, still locked in her bedroom, she slides a newspaper under the door and pushes the key through the keyhole. And what she wants to do is have the key fall on the newspaper so that she can pull it back into the room. And honestly, I think I've seen it before. I might have even read it before,
Mm-hmm.
but like this is from 1972. Who knows what came first? And it's just shot perfectly. I love it. Like she's so nervous about it working and all that. But
I wonder how many rooms have you been locked in where you know that this is the thing to do? Like,
right, I wonder if because it's like an old skeleton key type of lock, right? So I
oh, I
wonder.
wasn't sure, but yeah.
So I wonder if it's just that's like what people did in the 70's or before the new style of keys. I don't know. That's weird. That's weird.
Honestly, the fact that you can lock a room from the outside, that's a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, why is that a thing? I don't like
Yeah,
that.
why
I don't
are
like
you
that.
able to lock people in their room?
I had to talk to somebody about that. I don't like it. I don't like it. So then she pushes the key through the hole, but unfortunately the key misses the paper as we hear it clang on the ground. And then we're like, oh fuck, she fucked up. But then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly we see the killer's black gloved hand enter the frame and very graciously, on his behalf, place the key on the paper for her. And I thought, what a nice killer, But
I was
honestly,
terrified.
he doesn't want to go through the whole thing of like, if he tries to open the door, maybe she tries to lean up against it,
Mm-hmm.
put the armoire against it. He's like, no, you know what? I'm going to have her come to me. Genius.
Exactly.
Absolutely genius. Right?
Toxic people will always make you think bad ideas are your idea. Like, so he's going to let you think that this is your victory, but it's actually his.
Fuck. This has been Anthony Jerome M's like knowledge hour because that was good.
Listen, this is the Red Flag Call Out podcast. This is where you learn about toxic traits.
Yeah, this killer is so toxic. Have you seen how toxic he is?
It's just like big red flags all over the place. I just couldn't. I
Couldn't be
ghosted.
me. Couldn't be me.
No.
So when Jane retrieves the key and finally gets the door open, Franz grabs her, and both of them are surprised to see each other's faces. And Franz tells Jane that he had to do it and that the women were only dolls. So Franz is also the professor, right? That's his first
From
name
the
was
beginning
Franz.
of the movie.
Yeah, that she went on a date with and who wanted to go to the concert with her.
The concert.
So that's again like what they do in these types of movies. They introduce a character and then like kind of an innocuous character, somebody who you're never going to see, and then suddenly that's them, right? Very Scooby-Doo. Very Scooby-Doo.
Right. Yeah. They mentioned him a little bit. Oh, old man Crothers.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So then we get a flashback that shows a young Franz, maybe 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever, and his brother, same age, and a little girl. And his brother wants to see the little girl not wearing underwear, wants to see like her private parts. And she says, get me my doll and I'll let you see. And so the brother goes for her doll, which it just happens to be at the edge of a cliff for whatever reason.
a very high cliff.
We're like 10 minutes away from the movie ending. We're not questioning anything now. Okay. And then he falls to his death. And the way he falls is so funny. Like the Mac and Me like gift that you sent were just over the cliff. It's like, what the hell?
As soon as I saw that, I was like, I need to send you this because you're gonna know what it means.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, but obviously his brother dies on impact. And this made Franz see women as people who bring nothing but bad things for men. Franz also tells Jane that Flo and Carol seduced him and blackmailed him. The scene at the beginning with the 3 people was them. And he had to kill. Yeah, that was. You're just getting that now, huh? Look at that.
I didn't know. I literally watched. I didn't know. Oh my god.
And he had to kill Danny because she would have eventually remembered him and his scarf, which she actually did. Right. So Franz said he never wanted to hurt Jane, but since she knows that he is the killer, he must kill her to keep his secret intact. He says death is the best keeper of secrets. Another dope ass line. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about his reasoning for killing. It's very, very faulty, right? It's like,
Miguel, do you have good reasons for killing?
No. All my reasons are good.
Right. I was gonna say, do you have a list somewhere? Let's send that out.
Yeah, but as it goes for like killer plot or killer reasons for
Mm-hmm.
being what they are. I don't know. Well, I was gonna say, what does it have to do with sex? But I guess it was because the brother was wanting to see the little girl's private parts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It seemed a bit flimsy to me. Also, I don't like the idea of like little kids being involved in like sex things and like
Yeah.
that's so it just gave me out a little bit. So it wasn't my favorite part of the movie. But what did you think about his motivation?
I'm gonna be honest. I totally didn't get it.
Yeah,
I also don't understand why he pushes the eyes in on the doll.
yeah,
I don't know. Like maybe if he felt like the doll was his friend and did nothing while he was being abused or something, maybe it could make sense that way. Like, oh well, since you want to turn a blind eye to my injustices, let me make you turn a blind eye to everything I do as a result of that. I don't know, but I don't know what that meant. I didn't realize until right now the threesome was of two of the girls he killed who were trying to blackmail him.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, his motivations for killing. Can we even call them motivations? Because that seems like a strong word.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's what they wrote. And so it's not the strongest part. Like it's not like even I think we just need a reason why, and this is the reason, but it's not really the
Right.
movie, right? Even if they didn't tell
Yeah.
us why. But I think the thing with the eyes is just like, don't look at me. Like the creepy ass eyes of the doll are looking at me. That's
But
what,
it's like you don't gotta bring the doll into the bedroom when we're fucking.
yeah, that.
It doesn't gotta be there.
But maybe also that they were blackmailing him, so they wanted him to bring it in, and then once they start having,
Oh,
they were taking the pictures. In the threesome, Danny and Carol.
Okay, yeah. If they were gonna blackmail him,
Yeah, if they were going to blackmail him, because Danny was, if you go back and watch it, she's always looking at the camera, so she's like making sure that it's taking the pictures. So they're blackmailing him. Like that's why they brought the doll into it, and also they knew that he was impotent, so maybe they took pictures of his like flaccid dick, and that's why like he had to kill them, But maybe I don't know about that part, but I just realized that they were the ones that they blackmailed him by those pictures. Because remember the beginning of this episode, I was like, those pictures never come back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me now. Do you buy it? Is that, or you're like,
No.
no? Then what is it? Who's taking the pictures?
You know what I kind of like? Let's say two of the girls were having sex with the professor, and then the third one was taking pictures.
Okay. So
I
who's
like
the third
that.
one? So it's Ursula. No. Oh, Ursula's taking pictures then, right? Because it's
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
Ursula's getting her artiste on. She's a photographer as
Right.
well. Fuck
So
yeah.
I'm like,
No, but then that makes her bad. That makes her a blackmailer, right? Anthony was like, I don't give a fuck. Get your money. Get your money
I'm like,
up.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think that's enough reason to kill.
No. Yeah, I agree. That's not enough reason to for them to be dead. But I'm just saying that's why he did it. That's why.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I just feel like it was the 70's. They could literally have proof, and they would have been like, "Oh well, what did you do to make him?" I don't know.
That's true.
You seduced him, like.
Well, they were probably just going to be like, "Hey, we're going to show all your friends, all your family, unless you give us money." I don't think they were going to the cops or anything. There's nothing.
Maybe, I don't know, which would be interesting because that's like one of two instances where he's blackmailed by the girls and by the scarf dealer.
Right, yeah.
Maybe just everyone was out to blackmail him.
Yeah. So, just as Franz begins to strangle Jane with the red and black scarf, Dr. Zaddy arrives, and he just busts into the house, and the crazed professor struggles, which leads out the front door and into a barn. The struggle then leads to the edge of a cliff that the barn sits right beside, and they have a pretty good fight scene here. There's axes and there's knives. It's pretty interesting.
There's a part where the professor just jumps out like El Santo, just like
Yeah.
fully jumps out at him, and I was like, "What? They got stunts going on?"
Dr. Zaddy like does a flying scissor kick. It's like, oh shit. So then
And the sounds are great
the
too.
sounds are excellent. Yes, thank you so much. There's always these little things I'm like, I'm not going to mention that because that's silly. And then you bring it up. I'm like, fuck yeah. So then,
It was a highlight.
Jane stumbles outside and hears someone fall. And she watches warily as she's trying to see who died and who didn't. And
Mhm.
then for a brief moment of time, we see friends walking back.
They fuck with us, right?
Yeah, they fuck with us.
Yeah,
But
that
then
guy was blonde.
Yes, but as he gets closer, and he was wearing a white shirt, like a black on white shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But then as he gets closer, like the camera shoots back to her, and then back to the guy, and then we see that in fact it is Dr. Zaddy, and so he's victorious. He has killed friends, right? So he walks up to Jane, and he like takes her hand, and they start walking away, and then he says, "Perhaps there really is something about our fate. If that truck hadn't hit me by accident, which you caused the accident, Dr. Z, but okay, I would never have known you were still here. Some people would call that providence." And then Jane says, friends would call it necessity, which is a callback to a conversation that they had earlier in the film. And then the credits roll, and we get some sweet, sweet 70s smooth jazz sounds. And that's the end of Torso. So, Anthony, what did you think?
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to be completely honest. I absolutely love Torso.
Hell yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Like,
boom, boom, boom. That's knocked it out of the park. All right.
You win. You won. No. I absolutely loved the look of everything. I loved the story. Something that I didn't have the words for, but that you actually touched on was this movie starts off as kind of like a slasher murder mystery and gets turned into sort of like a home invasion survival type movie. And I just really love how this movie kept its suspense throughout the entire movie in different ways. Like, is the killer creeping across every corridor, nook and cranny? Like, where are they? Are they in the distance? Are they close by? To where the movie turned into later, whereas is the killer outside or did they go away? Am I free to try to like plot my escape, or is he lurking nearby? Being the professor, it is what it is. But I the overall story, I just thought it was so great. Everybody looked great. I also love that I can clearly tell that this movie inspired other movies that I like, and I always love seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I absolutely love Torso. What about yourself?
Hell yeah, I'm right there with you. This is my first time watch for me as well. I hadn't seen it. I love giallo movies. I have some issues with it, specifically the violence. Like all horror movies generally tend to, well, slashers, but they tend to star women, and women are the victims a lot of the times, but they're also the final girls and all that sort of thing. So giallo is no difference, right? But it just seems to be heightened in giallo and more mean spirited sometimes. But I still love giallo, and Torso is like a prime example of the best type of giallo. It's so good. Like the cinematography that I talked about, the directing by Martino, the acting was good. The style was impeccable. Like the casting, right? Ursula was a like standout pick, right? I mean, there's not very much to not like about this movie. I mean, it's not. I want to say it's not a perfect film, but it's close to it. I mean, it's just a great movie all around. I mean, it's inventive. You couldn't unless you can't really guess who it is. I mean, were you surprised when you found out it was the professor?
I was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Who was your main? Did you have a main suspect, a culprit?
I thought, oh man, what's his name?
Stefano.
Yeah, I thought it was Stefano, but I'm like, no, you want me to think it's Stefano. So I was like, I thought it was the doctor. That's who I thought it was.
Okay.
And I was like, you're making him creepy, but you're not making him like outwardly aggressive like Stefano. I'm like, is it him?
Here's the thing: like, if Dr. Zaddy, if Balak stared at all the women the way Dr. Zaddy did, it would be creepy. But the way like Dr. Zaddy stares at them all, I mean, it's still creepy, but it's like in a sexy way, right?
Yeah. A
Yeah.
doctor can stare at me that way any day of the week. Fucking shoe shine boy who can't talk? I don't think so.
Right. Well, not even that. Just the way he was like, you can not talk, but still be cool about it. But they were
Exactly.
very weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, but anyway, I love this movie so much. I'm so happy to like share this first watch with you. I'm so happy that you liked it. Like, I feel like we're rounding a corner here. We went
I think so too.
Blackula
Fuck.
into Torso, like into the next movie we're gonna watch. Okay, so
And also, I admitted to Miguel after the fact, like, I think I might like Multiple Maniacs. I think I might really like that movie a lot. And so it's like, fuck. I don't know what's going on.
okay, and then so the only one we have is the Blood on Satan's Claw, which you were mid on, right? I think you're mid on.
Yeah, it's mid. I mean, I like it because it doesn't take place in the 70s. So I can digest it a lot easier.
So we're like at 3 out of 4. We're batting like 75%. Yeah, that's right. We're batting. Well, I was gonna say like 700, but it's more than 700. We're doing really fucking good here. 3 out of 4 is great. So, what would you give? I got to ask you, Anthony. What would you give Torso out of 5 upside down crosses?
A solid 4. Yeah, it's an absolute 4.
Okay.
I think this is not that it's required viewing, but it's like if you like horror history, if you like knowing the progression of horror, I think Giallo in this movie is a very good like. This movie is such a reference point, and I always love watching what other movies reference. Like this clearly had its impact, and like I like knowing the source or one of the sources of these references that I see in later horror movies. So I feel like this movie birthed a lot of different scenes, a lot of different concepts, and also just within itself, in its own thing. It's just such a great thing to watch. Like maybe you're not going to watch it every year or you're not going to put it in the rotation, but it's not a waste of your time. It's definitely worth watching.
And how do you feel about this? So let me back up a little bit. So you said that was 4 out of 5 upside down crosses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you feel about the giallo genre in general? Because you liked Profondo Rosso, Deep Red,
Mm-hmm.
or I think you loved it, right?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
And then Suspiria.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love Suspiria.
So how do you feel about the giallo genre?
You know, they're very easy to look at, but also even when they're being bold in their colors and their expression, it's still for me it's just so artistic that it's worth looking at, as opposed to kind of like American 70s stuff where it's like I'm going to be bold and in your face to be in your face, as opposed to like Suspiria where like no, the walls are blood red because we like the walls blood red. And it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
This house looks like it's bathed in blood. Deal with it. It's just like that's their style, and it's not, they're not trying to be outrageous. That's just who they are. So like when it comes to giallo films, I love getting to experience that because I do think that like when it comes to Italy, when it comes to like style, kind of architecture, and especially like fashion and what's cool now, they've always kind of been ahead. So it's just something I really appreciate seeing because it's when I think of the 70s, I think of trash style, ugly colors. But like when it comes to Italian films and these giallo films, it's like, no. We're here to show you something really cool. Behold, we're great. Look at us. It take us all in. And so I really like that.
Yeah, it's like style and elegance and grace is imbued in everything that they do, and that comes out in the movies that they make. So even
it's a part of it.
Yeah. So even when we have a topic such as this, which is macabre and like gory and stuff like that, it still comes out beautiful, right? So yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic film.
Yeah. What did you think?
Thank you, Anthony. I agree with you. I love this movie so much. I would give it 4.5 out of 5 upside down crosses.
Okay.
because there are some like loose ends that show up here, and there's some questionable choices they made, but overall, it's completely enjoyable. I you said you wouldn't add it, or you wouldn't necessarily add it to the rotation, or necessarily be required viewing. I disagree. I think I would definitely add it to my
Oh.
rotation. In fact, like I looked it up to purchase it on Arrow's website,
Oh.
and also I do think I would, if somebody were to ask me for some suggestions for Giallo, I'm definitely putting this up there because it's great, or not
Okay.
even specifically Giallo. If somebody asks for a movie recommendation, I would throw Torso in there, especially if it's like somebody who's kind of working their way into horror and doesn't like a lot of bloody stuff, because this movie is bloody, but it's not overly bloody, and it's not gory or
Right.
anything
Okay.
like that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 4.5, and then a 4.5 upside down crosses. I wanted to talk about, or just say a couple words about Sergio Martino and the movie. Again, reading from Alexandra Heller Nicholas's article on Arrow Films, she says, in Torso, the numerous critics and scholars who have drawn a line between Giallo and the later North American slasher cycle were bang on the money, as the similarities are hard to miss. With its serial killer action centered around a university campus and a cast of students holding Jane, played by Susie Kendall, who, with a few important tweaks to her character's narrative trajectory, stars as a character that would evolve eventually into the off-sided final girl. Notable for an amplification of violence when compared to his previous Giallo films, its inescapable parallels with later slasher films are undeniable. So you were talking about wanting to see where things came from, or what inspired things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Giallo genre, the Giallo subgenre, and Torso specifically inspired all the slasher movies in the late 70s and the early 80s, that whole boom. This is where that came from. So if you're into horror history, if you're into slashers, if you're into just great movies, I would recommend Torso. And I just wanted to end our talk on Torso by saying a few words from the man himself, Sergio Martino. And when asked about his films, he said, "My movies are like a soft drink, sparkling, unaffected products for mass consumption. A soft drink doesn't have the prestige of champagne, of course, but I'd rather have a good soda pop than watered down wine anytime." So,
Period.
so yeah,
That's what I heard him say.
yeah, exactly. So that was Torso from 1973, directed by Sergio Martino. So, one thing I wanted to mention is we did this last episode, and I kind of wanted to ask you this episode. I think, we did the scale of 1 to 10 and where you were at, from like 1 hating the 70s to 10
Mm.
absolutely loving the 70s, and I'm at a 10. And I think we're getting your baseline was a 3, if you remember. Do you remember?
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
So
Sounds
you're at a
about right.
3, and I think Blackula didn't affect it. Like, you didn't move forward or backward, which is still positive for me. Where would this, on this sliding scale, where do you think Torso would bring you to?
I'm starting to think that there might need to be 2 scales.
Okay.
Like one of them is white American 70s, and another one is everybody else. So like when it comes to Italians, people of color, black people, I'm a solid 5.
Okay.
When it comes to white American 70s, 3.
3. So that's where you're at after watching this movie, or did you move at all after watching this movie?
Overall, I can say I'm at a good 4.
Okay.
I like it more than I did. It's like, okay, so maybe I just hate the 70s in the United States.
I think we're starting to see that. We're starting to see what's going on.
Like, imagine all these like 70s heads. Oh, if you hate the 70s, you can just leave. What?
No. Anthony Jerome M is here to stay, fuckers.
Yeah, I'm not in the 70s. I just don't like them. So I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm turning a corner, because what we've seen, also like what we have something coming up that I think I'm gonna like. We have something coming up that I actually love. So it's like, have I been lying to myself the whole time to seem cool? Like, no, I hate the 70s. It
Well,
made it a personality trait.
I'm glad that you brought that up because, of course, the next episode is 1974, and the movie that we will be discussing is, of course, the biggest movie from the year, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which Anthony Jerome M has never seen. Y'all.
Never. Mm-hmm.
If you are not listening to this show next week when we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then where the fuck you at?
I honestly, I think I'm out of the loop here because, like, I think I'm the only one I know who hasn't seen it.
You are the only person I know of who's never seen this movie. Yeah. So I'm excited.
The remake doesn't count.
Yeah, the remake doesn't count. But I'm so excited for this. I cannot tell you how much fucking fun I continue to have week to week with you, Anthony. This is fucking great. And then when next week we get to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is fucking amazing. All right. So, Anthony, once again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Actually,
thank you.
Yeah, this is our show. I don't have to.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for letting me do this show with you. If you could please let the people know where they could follow you.
So they could follow me on Twitter where I'm most active. That's Anthony Jerome M. Anthony JEROMM. And yeah, that's where I'm most active. Talk about horror stuff, chicken, food, all kinds,
Scrimps.
Scrimps, absolutely.
Yeah. If you'd like
Miguel,
to follow
what about yourself?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No. Good. Thank you. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at MHC Pod, like My Horror Confessional Pod. You can follow me on Instagram at My Horror Confessional. If you'd like to email the show, you can email me at myhorrorconfessional@gmail.com. The art was done, the great, fantastic art that we have for this was done by Brian Demarest. You can follow him on Twitter at The Evil Flynn. I believe it's with 2 N's.
Yes. Shout out to you. You're amazing.
You did amazing work. And then the music was done by Taylor Fox. She did a reimagining of the of my original My Horror Confessional song intro. If you'd like to follow her, you can follow her at The Taylor Fox on Instagram. And she's fucking snoozing on this, dropping her record, The Great Hag. But you can follow her on Instagram at The Great Hag. And when that drops, we'll be sure to share it on all the socials. If you can also do Anthony Jerome M and myself a favor and give the show a review, 5 stars only. We don't want any 4-star bullshit. 5
you either support us totally or not at all.
Exactly.
No?
That's the only kind of love we want here. Unconditional.
Unconditional.
So Spotify, you can rate us there now, and you can also rate us on Apple Music and wherever else you listen to our podcasts. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think of the show so far. I'd love to hear it. Reach out to Anthony Jerome on Twitter. Reach out to me on Twitter. We'd love to hear some feedback. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the show again this week. Bye.
Bye.